sink Auburn's chances and drop the game versus Arkansas. It's a tough one. Let's talk about it.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
What's up, everybody? We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast, a little live with Charlie Five. Post-game, Auburn drops a tough one to Arkansas, 24-14. Continuing this turnover streak that is really becoming unprecedented. So many things to talk about. But before we get started, we got to give a shout out to Mybookie.ag. Use coupon code NEXTROUND for a double up deposit. Give them $100. They're going to give you another $100 on top, another $100 back on top, free to play with. So a lot of live betting action you can get on, overs, unders, whatever. They got it. Check them out at mybookie.ag. All right, regulars. We got it right. The regulars are here. The regulars are loaded up and ready to go. I'm going to go through my stuff fast, guys, because I want you guys to vent. I mean, it's time to talk about it. And I'm going to take as many questions as I possibly can. If you want to make sure you get them, hit the super chat, and I'll make sure that they get read. But before we get started, I want to just go through just a couple of things. Number one, obviously the turnovers. The turnovers kill Auburn. And what's funny is I was having some discussions before the game. I listened to a lot of prognosticators and things like that, and they talked about how Auburn is obviously turnover prone. And if you look at the box scores, if you just look at box scores and you don't take it with any context, yeah, sure, Auburn's turned it over more than twice in 4 out of the last 5 games. Now it's 5 out of the last 6 games. But, we're thinking you got a new quarterback. Yeah, you got some fumbling issues. Now, there's nothing you can do about that. You got some fumbling issues. I don't know what the heck's going on there. Nobody's really even touched Damari Alston on his long run. He just fumbles it. He just inexplicably fumbled it. But you got a new quarterback. Hopefully you don't have the same kind of issues moving forward. So I didn't really want to buy into being turnover prone as like a sort of malignant thing for this offense. But sure enough, you go into this game and it's 5 turnovers, 4 turnovers in the first half. And somehow by a miracle, you're only down 7 points. And you did create 2 turnovers, which is something that Auburn struggled with at times this year. But I mean, it just continues to happen, and it's freakish. It's some of it's really poor decisions. And then some of it's just kind of some freaky stuff. Like we're going to get some tip passes off some hands and, guys that catch. What's so funny, Cam Coleman, I'm jumping ahead, but Cam Coleman, ball goes, the most routine catch you can possibly make as a wide receiver, goes off his hands. And then the next catch he gets is a 2-yard pass that doesn't even matter. And he goes up with one hand and catches it. It's like, man, how do you make that play? And then you don't make the one with the game on the line. The game, that's the one that basically lost the game. Like, how do you not make that play? But let's walk through these turnovers, okay? First of all, Hank had 3 interceptions. His first interception, made a bad decision. There was I felt like 5 was open on the play. I don't know what the read was, tried to force one in. And Rivaldo is actually open, and then a linebacker just gets a hand on it, and it goes into the air, and obviously it's picked off. So that's number one. The second interception was god awful. That's as bad as any Peyton Thorne interception that you can throw. It's a comeback route that he looked at the whole entire time. Like he looked at it. He never took his eyes off of him. Not any of the stuff that he was doing the week prior. He looked at him the whole time, and they would just literally just slid over there and jumped the route and picked it off. Very, very poor. I don't really know. That one's tough. That's as bad as it gets. Okay, that's as bad of an interception in college football as it gets. And then the third interception, we dial it up. Sam Jackson, I believe it was Sam Jackson, could walk into the end zone. You're walking into the end zone and you overthrow him by a half of a yard. and it just so happens to sail directly to the safety that was not even in the play. The safety would not have even made the play. He was nowhere near anything. You threw an interception to someone that wasn't even covering the guy. You just overthrew it by just a little bit, and it ends up being an interception. Damari Alston, his fumble, I just talked about it. I mean, you break a long run, a explosive play. He looks so quick, so much quicker sometimes than all of our other running backs. He's got a step on him, but for some reason, he has fumbling issues. And this one wasn't even a big hit. This one wasn't even him fighting for more yards. This was just a paw got on it and it popped out. Like, that can't happen. I don't know what drills you do. I don't know what you do to like make running backs not fumble, but something's got to happen here. It's unbelievable. It really is to be a running back in Division I football, and you just continue to put balls on the ground, and you're good, man. You're really good too. You're explosive. You're shifty. You make things happen. You explode when you see a crease. You're a weapon. But for whatever reason, you put the ball on the ground. It's way too much for the few amount of carries that you actually get. It's tough. It's tough. I don't understand. And then obviously you go to the last one, Peyton Thorne's interception that really cost the game. It really ended up changing. I mean, that was the drive that you're going to possibly maybe take. I can't remember. I'm so mad about the game that's hard to remember the exact specifics around it, but it was a very important drive. Maybe you're only down by a touchdown. You're going down to score to tie it up. Dial up another good play. You're running wide open, and for whatever reason, that play in particular, that's twice now, that he's either heard footsteps, taking his eyes off the ball. I don't really know what it is, but it goes off his hands, and it's another interception. It's almost identical to what happened in the Cal game. And you just can't win that way. You just can't win that way. And there were times when the offense looked decent. There were times when the offense was moving the ball a little bit, and you would just have an inexplicable turnover, and it just crushes everything. The very first drive to open the game, you get a very good stop. Arkansas, they did exactly what I said they would do. If you listen to the pregame show that I did this today, literally everything that they did, I said I almost exactly knew what would happen. And that's exactly what happened. The quarterback would get some. He can't throw at all, but he can run, and he's elite. So if you can somewhat contain him, you can have a pretty good day. And I felt like for the most part, Auburn did that. We'll get to the defense part at the end. But they go down, you get them to miss a field goal. That's a good stop. Then you get the ball and you walk right down the field looking really good. Hank was making some really quick throws. It was working. You're running the ball, and then all of a sudden, boom, interception. And then it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Maybe that one's not so bad. Okay, maybe that was just a freak thing. Get a paw on it, and then you go. And I texted somebody and I said I could see a little bit of Hank shuffling a little bit too much in the pocket a few times, where it looked like he had a little bit of nervous feet, which is understandable. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman. This is his first SEC start. I knew there would be some adversity. I said on Friday, it all depends on Hank. Several things that happen, and one of them is going to be how Hank deals with adversity. The second one, I said something's about him. It looks a little bit off. He doesn't look quite as confident as he has before. And then, boom, he stares the guy down and throws an interception. I mean, it's just – I don't know what you do at this point. I really don't. I don't know what you do at this point, because now it's starting to become something malignant. There's something there that's got to be fixed, and I think the answer is pretty simple, to be honest, and unfortunately, it's not something that can be remedied. And that answer is simply this. Currently on the 2024 roster, okay, this is not saying that the same person could become one in the future. That's not saying that doesn't mean that Walker White will never be one. It doesn't mean that Hank will never be one. But currently on this 2024 roster, you do not have an SEC caliber starting quarterback. You do not have a quarterback at this point in time that can compete at this level. And we can point fingers. There's a ton of blame to put on Hugh Freeze for however the portal happened, whether it was his fault, whether it was the money's fault, whether it was not having organization off the field's fault, whatever, regardless, all that points back to Hugh. And I think they tried really hard to get a couple of guys, and whether you couldn't get the money together, whether it wasn't worth it, regardless, you gave up. I think they gave up a little too fast. I think there were some guys that this is, and again, this is all in hindsight. It's easy for me to say now, but there's guys like a Kyle McCord, that's doing really well at, I believe, Syracuse that you could have gotten. There's a couple of other guys that, you probably could have gotten that would have given you a little bit better product than you saw on the field Saturday. Cam Ward was never coming to Auburn. So we can forget that conversation. Oh, we should have gone and got Cam Ward. Cam Ward was never coming to Auburn. His agent would not let him play in the SEC. Auburn's price tag was driven way up through the roof, and he went for way less than that at Miami. Okay, he wasn't coming to the SEC, so that's not going to that can't be the thing we keep going back to. Now, should you have fought a little harder for Riley Leonard? Maybe so. Should you have kept kind of going down the line and just said we can't go with Thorne at all? Period. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe that was the correct answer. He made a decision. And this is what's happened. This is the results of that. You don't have an SEC quarterback that's ready right now on your roster. And hopefully, this wasn't something that damages Hank moving forward. I don't think it will. I think Hank is a lot more I think he's a lot more mature, a lot more mentally tough than to let something like this derail him. But it's going to be tough. I mean, to get pulled like that, you played poorly. You played poor enough to be pulled, but to be pulled like that in your first SEC start, it's got to do something to sort of kill the momentum, kill your confidence there. So hopefully that's not the case moving forward, and there's a lot that he can learn from. I think there's even a bigger discussion on. I think there's an even bigger discussion to be had on the whole quarterback situation in general. Should they have pulled Peyton earlier? Should they have gone ahead and done this like they did it? I can see the argument for both sides, and I don't really know the correct answer. I don't know if Peyton Thorne plays this whole game if Auburn wins. I don't really know. He looked at times, he looked a little bit more confident, made a really big throw on fourth down. I felt like he made several good throws. Keandre Lambert-Smith had a really long touchdown. He also dropped to what I thought were very good passes. And then Rivaldo dropped. I thought there was even on the fourth down at the end of the game that didn't even really matter. I thought that was a really good pass to Rivaldo, and he kind of jumped too early and it went off his hands. So it's tough, man. It's tough, man. It's easy for us to sit back and say, obviously we should have gone to get somebody at the portal. I think that's really easy to say, and it's probably the right answer. But all the situations around it, it's tough. It's tough to know that that did they really have the money to be able to get a top flight quarterback? And then B, it's tough to know in the moment if I can get somebody, if that's the answer. And then who does that cost me elsewhere? I totally understand the train of thought that Hugh may have gone through after you had missed on some of your top guys. After that, it's kind of a crapshoot. But maybe he shouldn't have given up so fast. Maybe they should have entertained at least a few more guys that seem to be having pretty good seasons this year. So that's really tough. But I think we can talk about, they should play Malcolm more. Oh, they should play Perry more. Oh, they should have done this. Oh, they should have done that. It all boils down to this. We don't have an SEC quarterback this year. Again, I want to make sure I'm very, very clear. That does not mean that I think there's some young quarterbacks on this roster that can become SEC quarterbacks. I want to make sure that nobody clips that or uses that against me, okay? Because I think there's some talent, but currently on this 2024 roster, Auburn does not have an SEC quarterback. I just don't think they do. And the last thing we're going to talk about, and then I'm going to hit the chat, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be I'm sure it's going to be angry. But we're going to go through it. This is therapy. This is going to be therapy for everybody. Okay. Defense. we'll talk about the 3rd and longs, okay? But I thought the defensive game plan was fantastic overall. Now, there was some lapses that we had, and there were some dumb things that happened on some 3rd and longs, but the defensive game plan, they gave Auburn a chance to win that game. Okay, Auburn, the defense gave Auburn a chance to win that game. They got pressure on the quarterback, something that we said, oh my gosh, we can't rush the quarterback. Well, it turns out we actually can. It turns out they can dial up pressure, and which is kind of what I expected. Again, if you listen to the pregame show, I thought last week was sort of the exception versus the rule, and they were playing a little bit more safe to not let the quarterback beat you. And I thought they would do that a lot this game, but they would still be able to get pressure on him. They had 3 sacks, which is incredible against that kid. I'm not sure he's been sacked that many times at all this year. You got 3 sacks. McLeod played unbelievable. And honestly, the defensive line at times played really, really well. So overall, I think the defense played plenty well enough to win. They were put in terrible situations over and over. And there were so many times where they got us 3 big stops. They got us 2 or 3 really big stops in the 3rd quarter. They were borderline dominant in that 3rd quarter. They were eating in that 3rd quarter. Like they were the defensive line, the pass rushers, the linebackers, Asante, they were eating in the 3rd quarter. They were daring. I've never seen somebody take out a quarterback that wasn't even hurt just basically to protect him because they were teeing off on him. They played physical. Bless his heart, Champ Anthony, unbelievable tackle, and then breaks his leg. I don't know what happened. I've heard people say it was. I've heard people say that it was a non-contact break, and then I've heard people say it was a dirty play. I haven't seen the replay. I don't know. I don't know if it was a dirty play or not, but it was unfortunate. He was laying the wood. There were several guys laying some licks. They were hitting green hard. I was very, very proud of the defense. Now let's talk about some third down stuff. I don't know what it is, man. I really don't know what it is, but for some reason, we are snake bit on 3rd down, and I can't really figure out what exactly it is because I can see the logic behind a lot of the things we do defensively, but for whatever reason, we can't make it happen. Like the long touchdown. Okay. There was 4 receivers. Okay. 4 receivers and 8 guys in coverage. Okay. Now I do hate rushing 3 in that situation, but it's 3rd and 19. There should be nobody A that could be that open, number 1. And then B, if the guy does decide to run, you have 8 defenders to stop him from getting 19 yards. So like, I understand in that situation why you called it. I personally would not have called it. I like getting after him regardless. How do you let that guy get that open? Keontae Scott, you're a senior. You're the guy, you're somebody that everybody's supposed to be leaning on. How does that happen? How do 4 receivers beat 8 defensive guys in defensive coverage? How does that happen? That blows my mind. Some of the scrambles I get, the guy's a great runner, and it is what it is. And then there's the one that made me the most mad. The one that made me the most mad cost us a touchdown in the first half, and that was Austin Keys hitting the quarterback late, whether it was hard, soft, however you want to call it, hitting him at all, period, when he's going out of bounds and there's zero possibility that he's going to gain a yard. And the play's over. And it's 3rd down. And it's a big stop deep in their own territory and you're about to get good field position. But you make a play. like what good does it do to hit him there? Like let's say he's not quite out yet. What good does it really do for you to hit him in that position and hit him hard? With everything that was on the line, the only things really that can happen are going to be bad. Like the only really things that can happen would be, not great. Got to be a little bit more smart in those situations. There's 2 3rd downs that were bailed out by penalties. One was roughing the passer, dumb play out of bounds. And then we had a pass interference that was thrown 15 million yards over his head, but he held him the whole route. Literally there was nothing athletic about that play from Antonio Kite. There was nothing athletic about that coverage. So it was tough. There's some things, obviously, that the defense can do to get better. But overall, I really thought I loved how they used McLeod. I loved how they used Crawford, even though Crawford, I'm not sure he can get there, but he struggles actually making a tackle. Overall, I thought the defense played good. Eugene Asante had an unreal game. He was a beast. He was a beast. Even honestly, go to Kay and Lee. Unbelievable game. Unbelievable interception. I just thought they played really well and just had a couple of bonehead spots. But golly, they were just put in terrible situation after terrible situation. Like it was tough. It was tough I can't imagine the animosity probably that's between the defense and the offense right now. It's like, dadgummit, guys, we keep giving you the ball back. Fourth down stops, interceptions, all kinds of stuff. And we can't even do anything. Like we can't even get a first down. It's just, or returning it over. Like, what are y'all doing? I can't imagine how tough that is at practice. It's got to be a blast. But that's really all. As far as the outlook going forward, like I guess the only thing that keeps you from winning the only thing that gets you to winning more than maybe 4 games is somehow that you find some kind of offensive something you can lean on moving forward. I feel like the defense is going to continue to get better. Offense sort of is what it is. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have an SEC quarterback, period. So what do? Do you go back to read option? Do you give a look at Sam Jackson and have some sort of read option type offense? Like, I don't know. I don't know what you do. You do not have an SEC quarterback on the roster right now. So, and you can't get one in the portal right now. So what do? There's a ton of stuff you can do at the end. There's a ton of stuff you can do in the off season. But right now, there's really nothing you can do right now. It's just sort of, you got to figure out, you got to coach, and you got to figure out something you can lean on that can work. And I don't know what that is. It's hard to find another win. It's really hard to find another win on the schedule outside of Louisiana Monroe. And honestly, Vanderbilt's not a gimme. I think they're playing Missouri really tight right now. So honestly, I don't really know where the guaranteed other win is outside of maybe Louisiana Monroe. So that's only 3. Bowl season seems sort of out of the picture almost, unfortunately. As much as positive as I am, I typically try to be, bowl season seems a little bit far out of the picture. So tomorrow night when we go live, we're going to talk about the recruiting impact and, what we got to look about in the portal and stuff like that. But I think I'm going to let you guys just vent. Let's just vent. Let's talk about it. And I'm going to go just lean on you guys, and then that'll be the content for the rest of the show. We'll go for another couple 20 minutes or so, and then just have some fun. So let's see here. Shannon Stuckey, at the end of the day, D gave up 24 points while the O handed it over 5 times. Can't blame anything on the D when they are pissed and taking it out on the other team. I'm not really sure what the second part of that means, but I can't put a lot of blame on the defense either. Even that last touchdown. I mean, that last touchdown, you got to be at this point in time gassed, and they just kind of pounded it on you and scored. They didn't even throw a pass on that last drive. That could have been big, but if I'm not mistaken, either that was the Cam Coleman interception. I think that may have been the Cam Coleman interception because the quarter ended, and then they just walked down the field on you and sort of deflated you. Deflated your ability to be able to come back, even though you did score that crazy long play to get it back to. No, I'm sorry. We got it back to 3 points, and then they walked down the field. I apologize. I misremembered that. That's what happened. So yeah, that they were probably gassed at that last point. Hey, it was great to score on a long play, but hey, but at the same time, it just puts the defense back right back on the field. So like we were danged if we do, danged if we don't at that point in time. Let's go to the next one. Let's see here. Lance Morgan. Freeze is a good coach, but game planning for this game didn't go as planned. Receivers failed the offense today. I can see where you're coming from, Lance, but and yes, you did have obviously the Cam Coleman drop, but I felt like, again, this means nothing if you can't execute the plays, but I felt like guys were open again. I did. I mean, if you go back and look at it, I feel like guys were open, and I don't know that I put this again on the receivers. I think you got to put it on the quarterbacks, but on the flip side, you got to put that on the offensive staff, because you got to know what your quarterbacks can actually execute. So it doesn't matter if you're calling wide receivers open, which I do think was happening. I do think, I mean, look at the third interception Hank threw. That's a touchdown. That is an easy touchdown. What's scary is you can't ask for an easier throw for a quarterback. It's in front of you. So it's not to the side. It's in front of you. It's the shortest distance that you can possibly have to a receiver. You throw directly in front of you 15 yards. That is the easiest pass that you can ask of a quarterback. And they schemed it to the point that there was almost nobody that can intercept the pass, but he sailed it. And a guy that's not even anywhere near the play makes the interception. So I don't know if I put all on the receivers, but definitely that Cam Coleman interception was big. Noah GZ, zero discipline on this team, starts with coaching. I mean, I can see where you're coming from there. The discipline issues with when I think about discipline issues, I think about selfish plays. I think about selfish plays and then situational errors. Okay. And the Austin Keys play was a big selfish play and a situational error. As far as discipline goes, the rest of the way, there's a couple of times Keontae Scott was not calling a fair catch and almost dropped two, or had two that were very close to being dropped that he got hit immediately. Like that is situational discipline. There's some things about this team that they do seem to have some discipline issues. And I think that's sort of what Florida State's dealing with when you're still sort of heavy relying on the portal. And we did have to bring in a bunch of portal guys. And the two that I just named was a JUCO guy and a portal guy. Now, granted, Keontae Scott's been here 3 years, but still, I mean, I think between situational discipline and then selfish discipline, you seem to have that too much. That seems to happen a little too much. So I'm with you there. Let's see here. This is a great question. Ant Robinson. And I think I have the answer for you. Sup C5 just came to speak and ask why Hank didn't throw a deep ball all half. If I saw Hank with big eyes and shuffling feet a little bit, if I saw the nerves, then you better believe Hugh saw it, probably way before I saw it. And so I honestly think, and I actually had this conversation. It's so funny that you asked me this. I had this conversation during the game. I said, I think he's trying too hard to protect. I think he's trying really hard to protect Hank because I think Hank's nervous. I think Hank's struggling. I don't think Hank can go deep right now. I don't know. And maybe he should have just dropped him back and then just thrown some 50-50 stuff down the field. But I think he maybe tried to overmanage him a little bit or overprotect him a little bit. And it was what are the easy things that we can get him to do to be able to, try to find something that can create a big play. And I'm with you. Hank loves to go deep, but for some reason they didn't. And I think it's because I think he could see that Hank was struggling, and you're trying to manufacture something. That's the only thing. I mean, that's just my opinion. I could be way wrong, but that was, I think that's the case. I think that's the case of why we didn't take a lot of shots with Hank, and we took several with Peyton. Peyton actually looked pretty confident, I thought. He floated some, but I wonder if that was just trying to be, like put a little more touch on it. He was really trying to put a lot of touch on his passes, get it over that defensive back. And I thought he made a couple of really good passes. He had, again, I thought KLS could have made a couple of catches that he dropped. The one that he floated that was reviewed that I thought was a catch. That was a really good throw. The one right before that he dropped was a really good throw. I don't know. I don't know 100% why we didn't take a shot with Hank, but that's my guess, is that Hugh could sense that he was a little bit nervous, that he was not quite feeling it. And I think that's why. Let's keep going. seeing a lot of 3rd and green and 3rd and Milrow. Man, it's tough. Okay, so this is in regards to Champ Anthony, Mr. Beautiful Herd that planted his foot. So are we sure? Are we clear? Like there was no contact? Like I still don't know. I still haven't seen it. There was no dirty hit or anything like that. It was a non-contact. Y'all let me know in the comments. I honestly didn't see it. I don't know. I've heard both. So if it was a non-contact and he just planted his foot and it dislocated his ankle or broke his leg, whatever it was so bad that they wouldn't show it. I know that. And then I feel like when they were showing him down, his foot or something was pointed in the wrong direction. So it was something pretty serious. For them to bring the card out, it's very, very serious. So I've been seeing a lot of this too, and I think I agree. Chin Stuckey moving on from Freeze is idiotic. I think it's so easy and so quick to just say fire everybody, and it's all on. We're not going to get any better. Fire everybody. And I agree with Chin here. It's impossible to move on. If you do 2 coaches this way, 2 years in a row, one who is recruiting at a really high level and it's seemingly building it the right way through the high school ranks, that made a bad decision on quarterbacks in the offseason and then did a lot of things to sort of correct it so it wouldn't happen again. I do think that might be a big mistake. I really do. I think when you look at the GM stuff you look at Will Redmond, bringing him in, making sure that you have your off the field staff ready for the portal moving forward, so that you don't get in a situation like you got in this past offseason. Who knows if Will Redmond was here, he may have made the call to say, hey, no, we got to have a quarterback. I've scouted this guy. We know we can get him. He just jumped in the portal. Let's go after that guy. So I think there's a lot of stuff. There's this program is not as close to a 10, 11 win team as we'd probably like it to be. But it was I think there's some good building blocks. I really do think there's been a lot of good building blocks. And then now it's going to be retention, and then continuing to recruit and continuing to add. And unfortunately, things got a lot harder. And this was something I talked about on I think the Wednesday show or Thursday show that kind of made everybody mad. This is something that's going to be tough if you drop this game. So I agree. I think moving on from him would be pretty much suicide for the program. Let's go on. Let's see here. Personally, being a former Tiger myself, I'm sick and tired of the way we get great players and can't do a darn thing with him. The next reunion, if Hugh Freeze is still the coach, I won't be there. Daniel, appreciate you, brother, for playing for the Tigers and all you did. I get it. I totally get it. The problem is, Daniel, you played football and you understand that you understand what it takes. I don't know when you played, but you understand what it takes to build a roster, and you understand how far probably behind Auburn was after Gus left and then into the Harsin era. So I would hope you would understand how tough it is to actually, especially now, there's a lot of programs that are starting to build and be really serious. So it's not like it's super duper easy, and it takes time. So now I agree. You can't lose games to Cal and you can't lose games to Arkansas at home. But at the same token, I just don't think you can just fire somebody after 2 years, especially when you look at what they're doing off the field. You can just when you're looking at they're doing off the field. And here's another thing. There's never been a time in Hugh Freeze's career where he's had a bad quarterback. There's never been a time where he hasn't lit it up on offense, except whenever he took over this roster. Okay. So that's something I always keep going back to. I always keep going back to that. It's hard for me to just say, oh, it's done. It's over. It's through. But I go back and look at every single year he's ever coached, and he's always had an explosive offense. He's always had a BA quarterback. Okay. And I think you're eventually going to get that guy. I think he's going to get that guy. Okay. He brought in Peyton Thorne. We tried to get a few guys in the offseason. It didn't work out for whatever reason. I do think he gave up too fast. I think he should have sifted through a few more and scouted a few more a little bit harder. But what could happen this offseason? Clearly, you're going to have to go in the portal again. So you've got a GM. You've got I feel like you got a really, really strong NIL. You're going to lose a lot of seniors. You can go find you a really good quarterback this offseason. I think that could change the whole, the whole trajectory of everything. So I don't want to give up on him. I don't want to give up on him yet because I think he does all the right things off the field. We just got to get us a quarterback. I think that is the that is the issue. I think we got to get us a quarterback somehow. Let's keep going. Let's see. This is a great question. K Smalls, why can some schools start a true freshman? Why can schools start a true freshman and others don't? I'm not sure if this is the question that you're asking, but this is a question that I feel somewhat dumbfounded sometimes. How come sometimes it seems like other schools can start true freshmen at quarterback, or they can start true freshmen in situations and they go off, and Auburn seems to struggle every single time we get a talented freshman? I mean, Cam Coleman dropping two passes, like those two passes. Cam Coleman is not just a big, physical, fast wide receiver. He has some of the most unbelievable catches that I've ever seen on his highlight film. How does that happen that he comes to Auburn and those two routes that are fairly easy routes for wide receivers where nobody's around you, those are the two that he has drops, and then he does the one-handed catch after. You look at Texas A&M, just had Marcel Reed, their true freshman quarterback, sort of come off the bench and play pretty good in a non-con game. I'm not really sure how that goes moving forward. They probably go back to Weigman. You see DJ Lagway, who's had some success as well at Florida. There does seem like there's some true freshman guys that can compete at this level. And Auburn, it seems like when we get some highly ranked guys through any coach, like name it, like it doesn't matter if it's just you, it's every coach, like over the past whatever, they seem to have some issues. Other than Keldrick Faulk's been one that feels like it's been a hit. Connor Lew feels like it's been a hit. Kay and Lee, that one's a hit. But there's several that you feel like you could lean on like other schools do, and then you just you struggle. They struggle. Lucio 989, Freeze has one recruiting class ranked 10th. He is trash at recruiting. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I honestly worry about how you're able to walk around and not fall down and hit your head. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't even know where that. I really don't even know where that comes from. K Smalls, C5, I appreciate you came true about the offseason QB opportunities. I mean, it's the truth. It's the real. I mean, it's the real deal. Like that's what the problem is. You don't have an SEC quarterback right now. You do not have a guy that you can lean on that can put the team on their back and carry them down the field. You just don't have that guy. So everything is the perfect play. It has to be the perfect play, and there has to be the perfect formation. It's all manufactured. Like you can't just run an offense through a quarterback because you don't have one right now, currently. It's really, really tough. Let's see. Let's keep going. Let's see. Let's keep going. Keep going through. This is a good one. Chris Nicholas, I think Cam is still hurt. He could still be a little bit dinged up, but still, you can't drop that pass. You can't let that go off your hands. That can't happen. I mean, this is one a conversation to have. We need to get off the skill players. We need offensive linemen. You guys need to get off the skill players. You need offensive linemen. I thought the offensive line played pretty good today. I thought there was a pretty good pocket. You had everybody seemingly back healthy. Arkansas is a good run defense team. They held Chuba or whatever the guy's name at Oklahoma State, the dude that's really good. They had Ollie Gordon or whatever his name is. They held him to like 50 yards rushing. He's like the best running back in the country. So they're pretty good at stopping the run. You were actually ran the ball decent at times. I felt like the offensive line played really well. And then you have a really good offensive line recruiting class already. You got 5 guys in the class. And you've done pretty well in the portal there. And you've had some hits as far as like Connor Liu as well. So you've done pretty well. And I feel like Xavier Miller is another one. You've hit on that one coming out of junior college. So I think you're on the right path with the offensive line there. Lucius Carter, we have been going through this quarterback issue for years. How long we're going to be patient? At the end of the day, Freeze should have went out and got a quarterback out of the portal. Totally agree. Should have gone to get a quarterback out of the portal. In hindsight, you're 1,000% correct. Now, the first part of your question, we've been going through this QB issue for years. How long are we going to be patient? What does that mean? What are we going to change? Like, what are we going to do? Do we march? Do we sell our tickets? Do we not show up? Like, was that the answer? This is kind of like, I hear this take all the time. Oh, Auburn goes, so we try so hard. We show up and we do this and we do that. We deserve better, stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, maybe so, but like, what are we going to do to make change? Like that's just words. Like, we're just saying words at this point in time that don't really mean anything or can't really change anything. So I'm totally with you though. Should have tried a little bit harder. Shouldn't have gave up so fast after you had a few guys. Tried late to get Caden Salter. He's got some grade stuff he's got to get figured out, and he could be a guy to watch in December. But again, I don't know what we have that we can do to actually I don't know what we can do to actually create some kind of change, but let's see. Let's keep going. It's a good one, Lee. The change is switching teams. I mean, hey, that's always on the table. That's an option. If you get tired enough on it, hey, South Alabama's beating the crap out of people. They're scoring 80+ points a game. Maybe they're fun. Maybe let's just try to go be South fans. That could be something that we look at. I see a lot of Walker White. Should Walker White get a shot? I think Walker White would tell you that he's not ready to get a shot. You got to think about the jump that he made. Okay. Now, I would say this: of all states that have private school sports, Arkansas private school football is pretty solid. Okay. It's not like Alabama private school or Georgia or Florida private school stuff. The Arkansas plays some pretty good football in that private school division. And so it's not, but still, it is still smaller classification football. And that's a huge jump. So while I do think that Walker has a really good shot to be good, I don't know that it does him any service to put him in right now. I don't know that it does him anything. I don't think that does him any good to throw him in there right now. I think that would hurt more than it would help. I really do. Let's see. Let's keep going through here. I love this one. Johnny Barner. Only question I have is why? Why do I do this to myself? I tell you what, you know why? Because that dang bug is hard to get. It's hard to let go. It's hard to let go of that bug. It really is. And luckily, you guys have cheered me up after this game. I got to be honest. Y'all are kind of getting my bug back up. So it's not. I get it. It's tough. But that's part of being a fan, man. You got to ride with the highs and you got to ride with the lows. And we're in a low point right now. And hopefully there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel soon. But this year seems like it could be a bit of a struggle. Let's see. Here's one. James Rutan. Hugh Freeze can't coach in today's game, apparently. He could always recruit, but apparently can't adjust any better than Malzahn. I mean, he's been successful everywhere he's been. It's hard. I mean, he was just winning 10 games at Liberty just a few years ago. Okay. And then, had a really good season the year that he got hired at Auburn and knocked off Arkansas and BYU. I think both of them, maybe BYU was at home and Arkansas was on the road or vice versa, but winning 2 big games, I don't think that's the case. I just think that you just don't have a quarterback right now. Yet you've been able to get guys everywhere else, and you sort of masked some deficiencies, and you've been able to patchwork a pretty decent offensive line. You just haven't been able to get a quarterback yet in after his, in the first offseason he was here and then into the second offseason, he struck out. I mean, he just missed eval on Peyton Thorne and then a couple of missed quarterbacks in the second portal season, and then the decision to not continue to sort of press and try to find somebody, which again is all hindsight, turns out to be the biggest issue. I don't think the coaching really has an issue. Again, dudes are running wide open all over the place. I mean, it's go back and watch. It's sort of sickening. Everybody, I mean, dudes running wide open all over the place. Let's keep going. I'm going to take about 3 more and then call it a night. It's been a tough one, but you guys have helped me sort of get over the depression, and it's fun to kind of talk it out. Chris Nicholas again. Hank is a redshirt freshman, first SEC game. He is expected to make a few mistakes. Hugh was looking for a reason to pull him. Thorne is his golden boy. Again, man, I got to just try to be nice. I'm just going to try to be nice. He threw 3 interceptions, dude, in the first half. Come on. He doesn't want to put Thorne back in. He did not want to put Thorne back in. Okay. Now, the question should be, did he go to Hank too fast? Did we turn it over to Hank too quickly? I know Thorne's been bad. Okay. There is no quarterback on this roster right now that can compete at an SEC level. There's just not. You're going to have to do it in different ways. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, some read option stuff. I really don't know what it is. I don't think this is a Thorne golden boy stuff. I mean, I don't even really get that. Why would Hugh Freeze why would he want to lose? I'm going to play a guy not that I think is going to be the best opportunity to give me a chance to win. I'm just going to play somebody because he's my golden boy. I don't get that mindset. I don't really understand that. That makes no sense to me. He brought Hank in. Hank was committed to him at Liberty. Hank, if anybody, is his golden boy. I don't really get it. I don't understand I don't really understand that take. Let's see. Let's keep going. Hey, I thought the same thing. Even though it wasn't by rule, I'm shocked they didn't flag Chant for targeting. Smoke Monday would have been flagged big time. You want to talk about somebody that didn't have situational discipline and had some selfish discipline issues? Yeah. Smoke would have decapitated that guy. He would have been concussed and in the locker room, and he would have Smoke Monday would have been eating a hamburger in the locker room after he got a shower within 30 seconds of that play, because it would have been pretty obvious. That was so heartbreaking, because what a textbook boom. You don't even get to see that, I feel like, in college football anymore, hits like that, because they're just outlawed. And it was by the book, just perfect. So heartbreaking that they had to yank him after that. So a couple more, and we're going to call it a night, and then we're going to talk recruiting tomorrow night, and the I guess the ramifications of what happened this weekend. So okay. Hugh has a track record for getting attached to QBs. What is that track record? The first year, the year he got hired at Auburn, he benched. I think he had a quarterback that got injured. Started off, Charlie Brewster got injured. He put in Caden Salter, who struggled. He benched him and put in the third string guy that ended up winning a bunch of games and beating BYU and Arkansas. What are we talking about? What is the track record? He pulled a kid from Arkansas State and Ole Miss, and that's so incredibly unathletic, and threw for 3,000 yards 2 or 3 times. He brought in Chad Kelly, threw for 4,000 yards. What are we talking about? Give me an example other than Peyton Thorne of Hugh leaving a guy in longer than he should have, and not being able to make a change. And I'll wait. He had Malik Willis that was really good. Is that it? He rode Malik Willis too long? Is that what his problem was? I don't know I don't understand. I don't really understand that. A track record means there's multiple examples. Can you give me an example other than Peyton Thorne? I don't think you can. So yeah, I don't really get that one. Hey, Peyton, you may start seeing this. Peyton, I'm not joking. At this point in time, put Sam Jackson in and run some read option. Sam's been getting some work back there. he has been getting some work back there as soon as recent as 2 weeks ago. I posted this in the barn, thebarnauburn.com. I actually expected to see it a little bit in New Mexico. So that could be one to watch. That could be one to watch as far as does he do you have to have some packages with Sam Jackson to be able to manufacture some offense? That could be definitely could be one to watch. It's you got to do something. You got to find something that works. Tyler Bush. Let's find the comment, Tyler. I'll find it in just a second, bub. Or maybe you're about to put it in. We got one coming in. Let's see here. Where do I find it? You got to forgive me, buddy. You got to forgive me just a minute. I'll find it. I say I will. I may not be able to find it. Dadgummit, man. Tyler Bush, give me the question again. Put the question in again at the bottom, and I'll find it. I'll wait on it and make sure that I get it. I'll get it. I'll make sure I'll get it read. Oh, it's just a like. Okay, so appreciate you. If it's not a comment, I really appreciate that. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Tyler, for hanging in there with us. Oh, here we go. Tyler Bush. Sorry. This is going to be the last one for tonight. How does Hugh balance playing a newer guy like Hank or Walker for experience versus pleasing his fan base to get wins now? What a banger. There's zero silver lining here for Hugh, it seems, unfortunately. I'm going to be honest, Tyler. I think I could be wrong. I think the Hank thing was probably more a nod to the fan base than he'd probably like to admit. I really do. I'm not 100% sure that it was. Again, I don't know if Peyton Thorne plays this whole game if he wins, and I don't know that Hank eventually doesn't become a great quarterback. I think he's still got the tools to become a great quarterback, but it's tough, man, because the fans want it now, and they deserve it now. Okay. The fans want it now. You've seen poor quarterback play. The common thought is just, hey, if we move on to the next guy, like it can't get any worse. I've heard that 1,000 times. It can't get any worse. Well, guys, it did. Unfortunately, it did. And you got, instead of 4 picks in a game, you got 3.5. Okay. So I do think I'm sort of convinced that the Hank thing, making it so hastily, was probably a little bit of a nod to the fan base, a little bit of heat that he may have been feeling, fear of boos. I think the boos could have been, especially in front of quarterbacks. Especially in front of recruits that you have in the stands. Boos are, brutal. So that's a tough balance, man. That's a really tough balance. I just don't think you can do it to Walker. I don't think you can jeopardize. Walker came in with the mindset that he wanted a red shirt this year. Okay. So I don't think you can do that to him. I think that would be really, really damaging to his career. So what you have to do is figure out, do I have Peyton? I have Peyton and I have Hank. What can I do with either one to make this thing work? What can I do with either one? What can they execute that I feel comfortable with them, that we can go into a game with a game plan and actually be able to move the football? And again, I don't know what the answer is to that. And I'm sure we'll probably get a lot of answers this week with his press conference. I'm going to listen to the post-game press conference, and I'm sure some of that will be a part of the discussion tomorrow night. But we're going to kind of lean on recruiting and the portal and everything, because, hey, it got a lot tougher. I said it on Thursday. This was a very important game. Everything just got a lot tougher. Getting new commits got a lot tougher, more expensive. Getting commits to stay committed got a lot tougher, got more expensive. Keeping players that are already on the roster from going elsewhere got a lot harder, got a lot more expensive, and we're only 4 games in. So you better believe that the phones are ringing and that people are smell a little bit of blood in the water. So it's going to be interesting to see how Hugh responds, how Hugh reacts to this. How he adapts and how we sort of move forward with this. So it's going to be tough. But guys, I really appreciate you jumping on, even though it was not the best decision, not the best decision. It was not the best timing. It was not the best situation. After a tough loss to Arkansas, you can't continue to lose these games at home. You can't continue to drop these games at home. It's tough. It's tough. Something's got to change. Something's got to change, but I don't know that there's an answer on the roster right now. So let's see what happens. Let's see how they bounce back. Let's see what all the coaches and everything have to say. And we will, we'll talk about it again tomorrow. So we're going to jump back on again tomorrow night around 8:00, and we're going to talk recruiting and then whatever questions that you guys have. So I really appreciate you jumping on. If you like this video, like it. If you like this channel, subscribe to it. And again, we're going to be back every single day. We've basically been here every single day this week, and we're not stopping anytime soon. So no matter what the record is, no matter what the weather is like outside, as long as the internet holds up, we're going to be on here talking. We're going to be on here podding, hashing it out, and having some fun. So guys, I really appreciate you. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for all everything you do, all the listens, all the comments, all the social media stuff. Really appreciate it. So again, like and subscribe to this channel, and we'll be back again tomorrow. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.